Hey guys, Rozo here. Got another Mythic Plus video for you. Today I ran a plus 12 Mechagon. It went pretty smooth. I was playing Destro. The first thing I want to do before I get into the video is show you my gear. So I'm 662 item level, almost 663. I've got 26% crit, 21% haste, and 67% mastery. This is before flasks and other buffs, obviously. Those will slightly increase. And the talents I was running are these talents. I'm still opting with the old Shadowburn build. I'm putting an extra point into Conflagration of Chaos to get more crits from Shadowburn. And I'm spec'd into Power Overwhelming to get Mastery when I use Rain of Fire. For dungeons like Mechagon or Priory of the Sacred Flame or Dark Flame Cleft, many other warlocks are opting to go with a Fire and Brimstone build. So their Incinerate hits more mobs and gets them more soul shards. And I think they're probably right. I just haven't updated my talents since this new season started. I figured when I actually am starting to try hard, I will adjust them. I just haven't paid attention to it. So if you're using Fire and Brimstone, that's perfectly okay. You'll get more soul shards that way, and it's probably better than what I'm running. But the reason I decided to play Destruction in this Mechagon is because of the Infernal Stun. On the first pull in the dungeon, my tank, we were saying that we were going to do a giant pull, so I wanted to have the extra stun from my Infernal to stun the entire group of mobs on pull, and then I can Shadow Fury after and help CC the bombs so they don't blow up. So let's go ahead and get into the key. So before this we were talking and he was saying he would do a giant pull. I'm Destro for that reason. I pre-pop my cooldowns. I use Infernal and stuff before the key starts. So you keep your Infernal buff and your potion going into the key. The first thing I'll do is drop a gateway in this hallway, just so we get down there that much faster. In this room, the thing you really need to look out for are going to be these bomb bots. They will self-destruct and just do a bunch of damage, so it needs to be kicked or stunned, like we want to do here. When the tank is gathering mobs, I'll tab target a few and put the curse on them. That reduces their cast speed. Just to help out a little bit with making sure we have time to interrupt them or stun them. I'll wait for them to get more grouped before I use my Cataclysm and Infernal, just so I get the maximum effect. And I pop my cooldowns. Shadow Fury to extra stun them, then I kick one. And unfortunately my DPS meter wasn't set up correctly, so editing Crozo will add that in later. Hopefully. When we chain into this next pack, I don't quite have Cataclysm up yet, so I'll just single target, put Wither on some of the mobs. And that went alright. I've had some other groups where I've been able to pull the entire room at once and leave everything down at the same time, but this worked just fine. I'd like to play Demonology in this key as well, but the thing with Demonology is that the ramp takes quite a while. You know, maybe it takes 15 seconds or whatever to get fully set up and start doing your damage. But in that, there's a lot of movement, a lot of dodging. You want to make sure you kick mobs and stuff, so it is a bit hard to catch up on Demonology compared to Destro's super upfront burst damage. Affliction's also okay. Alright, so for this first boss fight, what I like to do is always drop my Demonic Circle in the middle of one of these squares, and I tell everybody to not step on it, because throughout the fight you'll drop mines periodically where you're standing. This mob here will attack you and knock you high up in the air. If your circle is on the ground, you can just get knocked up and teleport down immediately and lose very little uptime. My cooldown timings are about a little bit off, maybe 20 seconds from my Wither and my normal cooldowns, so I just have my Wither on pool and I'm gonna think them up later. These are the mines I'm talking about. Make sure you stay away from your portal. I replaced my demonic circle here. Throughout the fight, the tank is going to be kiting the boss around the room for two reasons. One, he needs to stun the boss on these hammers on the wall here. When the boss has his armor buff, the tank will kite him under these hammers. The boss will get hit by the hammer and then take increased damage. And I think these only have like a one-time use per hammer, so the boss needs to be kited around the room to use these hammers, and also to get away from these mines. So since we're walking in the room, I'll just replace my portal every 30 seconds or 45 seconds or something. So if I get knocked up, I can teleport down safely. Or if somebody puts a mine on it, I'll move it. My cooldowns here. What's cool is before the key, the priest, he recognized me. He was like, "Yo, are you that YouTuber?" It was a nice surprise. But I think because he recognized me, he's giving me PI. So if you're watching this, Snows Priest, thanks, bro. You'll see the boss, he just got the shield right here. He walked under the hammer, got stunned, and now is taking increased damage. So now I'll get knocked up here, teleport down, lose very little uptime. I wanted to stop that before that happened. So you'll see here I land after this. And I'm not on the edge of this line here, but these saw blades, you can see on this one, it's not directly in the middle of the line where it's supposed to be. They definitely stick over the edge. You'll see I get hit by this blade as it comes near me. Let me pause. Look at this. There's a huge gap between this blade and the line. If you're going to be standing, try and stand more left in a given square. If you're in the square, don't stand on the right side of the edge, stand closer to the left side. I'm not on the edge, but I still get knocked up. It doesn't do that much damage, but it's, there's no reason to get hit by it. Unfortunately, my circle's on cooldown, and I hit the priest. My circle's on cooldown, so I can't teleport that one, so I make sure I don't get knocked into mines. Getting knocked to the middle is pretty much always safe. With my Shadowburn build, whenever a mob is low HP, like the boss, I love just spamming Shadowburn. Especially if I get Havoc to proc and I get it on both people, I can spam Shadowburn on both targets. Also, that was a pro grip. With my build, I just spam Shadowburns, and if I get Havoc on both targets, I can just spam Shadowburns infinitely on them. So what I like to do here is I like to build up Soul Shards and fish for a Havoc proc close to full Soul Shards, and I can just spam like 5 Shadowburns in a row and do a ton of damage and build my Wither stacks up really high. You can see my mouse is shaking because I pressed Shadowburn with my mouse. Nice, and that's the first boss. Pretty simple. Here, I like to throw a cheeky little gateway. Save 5 seconds. We're on to the next room. Normally after the first boss, your cooldowns should come up pretty close to right about when this trash comes, which is nice. You can do pretty decent sized pulls here. The thing to worry about with these mobs is the slimes give you a healing absorb, and the drills do a giant AoE, like group-wide AoE. So having your healthstone available to help get rid of the shield on yourself, or just using wall or something to live through it is important if your healer is struggling. Just preemptive for this. Just to be preemptive in this section. I saw I had a huge healing absorb, so I just soul burn health stoned, heal myself to full, get rid of the healing absorb, make it easier on my healer. I don't want to die. I wall this mega drill. The trash in the next room before the next boss also hurt a lot Using your wall in that room is also okay. Here I have Havoc on the second target, so I'm just spamming Shadow Burns. When they're below 30% and you can spam Shadow Burn on them, it feels very satisfying for me, watching the Wither stacks jump really high, and just having a bunch of instant damage. Like I said earlier, using other talents might be more optimal, but this one's quite fun. It's also good for finishing off a target that's low if you have to prioritize one target. All the small adds are dead, so I'm swapping from Rain of Fire to more prio damage. My cooldowns came up and I held them for a few seconds because I knew we were pulling this back too. I'm waiting for Cataclysm to come up before I use my big cooldowns. And I want to Rain of Fire here. I'll do it a little bit. But I noticed the drill is going to be casting on us again, so I do ethical single target damage to kill the drill. And I miss out on Rain of Firing the small adds, but that's okay. So another reason why I like to play Destro is this room here. These dog adds will put a magic debuff on people in the party, and you can dispel it if you use your imp pet. So for the first section of the dungeon, I'll use the Fell Hunter so I can interrupt mobs. In this dog section here, I swap to the imp so that way I can help dispel the group on this trash. The debuff lasts like 10 seconds, but it does so much damage. So if I can help the healer dispel it off of people, it'll be really, really beneficial. So we don't have random deaths. If I swap to him, debuff, I make sure I dispel it, and I go back to guessing. Actually, my pet was too far back, so I didn't dispel that one. My pet got stuck on a rock or something, I don't know. Imps are terrible. I went to dispel the priest there, but he mass dispelled the group. Something happened when the new season started, and I think Blizzard messed with the default UI. I'm a default UI enjoyer. The last season, by default, the dots my teammates had were showing up on the UI here. I changed some settings since I did this key, so hopefully in future videos it's more clear to see when my teammates have debuffs. Okay, now this boss is really straightforward. You just hide behind the box, come out, hit the boss, that's it. There is a trick though you could do as a caster, where if you hide on the corner of these boxes, it depends on how the tank is holding the boss. You can hide on the corner while casting at the boss and not take any damage from the Venting Flames ability. In this key, I don't actually successfully do it. The boss needs to be held like on one of the corners. It's kind of hard to explain. After we kill the boss, I'll show a clip from when I played Demonology, and I was able to attack the boss on the corner. You'll see I tried a few times here and I almost die twice, so I give up. This one, just don't hit the boxes with this circle. You're good. If you have a hunter or a mage, maybe even night elves, someone who can feign death or can invis that, you can have the boss cancel his charge. He does 3 charges, but if the first person cancels it somehow, with feign or invis or shadow meld, it'll stop the other 2 charges. That's nice to know. If you're playing a Night Elf Warlock, maybe you're the one who can cancel it for your team. And I believe the first person targeted is the furthest away from the boss when he puts it up. Yeah, I'm trying to make it work, and I don't want to die. It definitely is helpful if I can hit the boss around the corner, but it's not worth dying. It only helps save probably 1 or 2% of the boss's HP, you know? Like each time I do it. I got greedy. I wanted to try it one more time. I preemptively used my wall because I knew it probably wasn't going to work. I'm glad I walled there, or I would have died. That would have been super troll. Alright, editing pros over here. So this is just a clip from a plus 12 I did as demonology earlier. We didn't time it, but I was able to attack on the corner. So what I do is first off, notice how the boss is being tanked kind of in the open, across from this corner here. Now, how the corners in the box works is that, like, it's almost like an invisible wall. It works as like a wall to protect you from the ability, but you're still able to cast from it if you have the right angle to hit the boss. If the boss is being tanked on the flat side of the box, it is much harder, or maybe impossible, to make it work. But since I'm on this corner, and the boss is in the open, across from this corner, I'm able to line myself up on the wall and attack him. I'm using Little Wigs. It's the dungeon add-on, and it shows me that I'm safe behind the box, right here, on the boss. And I'll use that as a guide, so I can line up and keep... You can see I'm casting on him right now, but I'm also safe. And we're able to do some extra DPS here. Like I said earlier, only a couple % extra damage, but any bit helps. Unfortunately, my priest wasn't safe, and we had to res him. If you're going to try this, definitely practice it in some lower keys first. It's takes a bit of practice, or if you're going to try it, use a defensive beforehand. Nice. Here, I'm going to go ahead and sprint ahead of my team. As a warlock, we can do a very convenient gate skip here. What I'm going to do is first, I'm going to run up the edge here and sprint and jump from here onto the track instead of running down to the bottom. I've fallen into the middle in this forge before and it hurts. So I just kind of run over here, sprint and jump up. If you walk along the edge of the track here, the treadmill will not push you. You're off of the track. So walk along the edge, you will not get pushed. And then when I get about here, I turn around. I'm going to throw my gateway up here to this part of the track. I try and put it on the edge up here where my mouse is. And you can gateway from here up there, and your team can all just come with you. It saves, legitimately probably saves like 15 seconds, 20 seconds, which is awesome because, you know, some people get slow or whatever. And if somebody doesn't take your portal for some reason, you can just click this button to stop the fire, so it's easier for them to run through. Here, I'm going to have Burning Rush up. I'm going to sprint ahead of my team. I want to drop health stones here. And I want to swap my pet back to the Fell Hunter. Next room, there's going to be 3 packs of trash. The first one is going to have a bunch of small guys. They're going to cast a Giga Zap or something. You want to kick that cast. And just having the Fell Hunter is important because you can't kick without it. I put the cookies without telling him, so whoops. Giga Wallop, that's what it's called. Fell Hunter to kick the Giga Wallop. And we're back to DPSing. One thing too about this trash, that these Tinkerers spawn these little squirrels. You can kill these squirrels to stop them from exploding on you, if you want to. They have maybe 1.8 million HP or something in this plus 12. With Destro, it's quite easy to kill them if you have Shadowburn. You can just Shadowburn them once or twice and kill them. If you're playing, yeah, see, got 2.38 million, sorry. But I kill it, oh, that was lucky. I kill it pretty quick when it spawns. I think I just press Shadowburn and maybe something else. Yeah, just double Shadowburn. And it dies. Later on in the dungeon, there's going to be mobs that drop a shield, and you want to stand in the shield to take reduced damage. If you can kill the squirrels that are in that shield, because they'll still one-shot you through the shield, helpful there. That was the first pack. The second pack of trash, these defense bots have a huge dot they put on the party, like random targets. Dot hits really hard. And then these mobs pulsate a big AoE. So if you have the dot and the AoE, it is likely you could die. So here, I'll swap back to the Imp for this pack, so I can help dispel this debuff that gets put on the party. I had Cataclysm, but I single target put Wither on these mobs for some reason. Arcing Zap is the dot you want to dispel. My healer instantly got it off of him. By the time I swapped to him and dispelled, it was already gone. I wasted my dispel. So hopefully you have your UI set up so you can see who has the debuff. And also you can make a mouse over macro for this. You can just mouse over them and dispel them instead of clicking them and dispelling them like I am. My setup is so scuffed right now. I really need to fix my UI and my macros before I actually keep pushing keys. You can see the dot, when it was ticking, was doing about 10% of my HP a tick, and then that group-wide AoE at the same time is just a lot of damage. I can dispel myself, but it only has 4 seconds, so I'm holding my dispel for the next debuff that goes out on somebody else. I see it's on Law's Jam, so I go to him, I dispel him. Of course we have a priest, so he can mass dispel it, but you know, I might as well help while I can, because if I have like a druid or something who doesn't have mass dispel, it's nice to be in the habit of helping them.
So, you possess a modicum of skill. It will prove insufficient against my newest prototype.
This mob, he just has passive AoE. You gotta dodge the beam, and then he cuts off like 75% of the room. You have a small 25% area you need to stand in so you don't get one shot. I go ahead and pop my cooldowns here because after this is a maze section. And, you know, I have a bit of time before the next fight. And plus this mob hits really hard, so you want to kill him anyway. I greedily finish my cast. After this mob dies, I'm just going to go ahead and drop my gateway. Save a couple seconds. Throughout the key, if you drop your gateway like this, it'll definitely help you out, you know, getting through the key much faster. And so now I've memorized the pattern in this maze. So I know where I want to run to get through it quickly. Maybe I'll make a separate video later going over the maze. But here at the start, you have two options. If the mobs here are blocking your path, you can go around the side here. So that's what I'll do. You can also go through the middle if the mobs aren't there, but yeah, you go around the right. Then my next step is always to go to the wall over here. I'm going to wait for this mob to walk forward. The quality got bad, sorry. I go to the wall, and you can get to the vent. You gotta wait for this mob to pass you, and then there you go. If you want me to make a dedicated guide going over this little maze, let me know in the comments, and I can do that. There's a few paths you can take to get through there. They all end pretty much the same way, but what's OP about Warlock too is that if somebody gets stuck, I can just summon them. So, yeah, it's kind of fun. In this pack, I'm still using my Imp because these mobs have the Dispel that hits really hard, and I think it's more important to be able to dispel that than it is to kick the random casts. Also, earlier I mentioned there's the shields that spawn you want to stand in. These yellow domes give you like 75% reduced damage, so being in them is quite important because these defense bots are doing the group-wide AoE. You want to be able to stand in the domes and take a lot less damage from those group-wide AoEs. And these are the squirrels I said earlier. You should kill these squirrels if you can that are in the dome. You don't need to walk out. If you have Shadow Burn, you can just target them, Shadow Burn, kill them. I wasn't quite prepared for it, so I missed that one. I was trying to focus on getting the spell off if I could. But I think I kill the next one that does it. Yeah. We're not in Discord, so the priest, he didn't know I was going to try and kill it. So he walks out. And you don't need to do that by any means. You can walk out and come back in because the AoE isn't always happening, but I like to. I like to if I can. There is an argument to be made though that it's just kind of wasting DPS. Those mobs blow themselves up anyway. that's neither here nor there. Okay, this boss is definitely, in my opinion, the hardest in the dungeon. There's so much movement and it's so chaotic. What I've found is that if you stand near this middle pillar and just walk along the edges of this gear in the middle, that is the safest place to be in the room. When it comes to the saw blades that bounce around the room, there's so much open space here in the middle and by these walls. And the blades will normally bounce through the middle along these corner walls. And it's not as often that they'll bounce off of this middle gear area. So by standing here and walking around this edge, you are much less likely to get hit by the saw blades. You have to run a lot faster to get away from the fire beams that come out, but I think that's a fair trade-off. I swapped the plant as soon as it's up. Killing the plant is quite important. You can also drop your demonic circle like this if you want to get really greedy. You wait for the beam to cross your demonic circle, and then just teleport back to it. I don't end up doing that, but you can. So the trash that's after this boss is pretty difficult. The 2 stacked fighter tanks. I go ahead and use my cooldowns on the boss because I want to finish him in 20% or whatever. If the boss is kind of low HP, you can hold your cooldowns for this pack because these 2 mobs hurt a lot. There's 2 consistent pulsing AoE that hits really hard in your group. And when they both do it at the same time, you could have people die if they don't use defensives or heal correctly. For some reason, I'm not attacking Skull. I know because my Havoc procced on Skull earlier, I swapped off of it, but I should have swapped back to it much sooner.
We can commandeer that transport to access Mechagon's tower.
I like to drop health stones here. Make sure you don't drop health stones on the flying robot. I made the mistake of dropping them on the flying robot up here where we land. You can click on this robot and fly back to where we just came from. So you don't want to drop your health stones here and send your group back to the start. I did that before and it was really a bad mistake. And for this pack also, I'm still using my imp. There are kicks in this pack, but there's like 1 or 2 kicks compared to the debuffs going out from 2 of those robots. So I'm focusing on having the imp out so I can dispel this debuff again. We have a prop pally and a shaman, so I figured these kicks are not going to go off in the first place. So if I can help dispel, that's more beneficial for my group. If you're running like a Boomy and Shadow Priest and like Resto Druid or something, so you have like very few kicks, in that situation, I think maybe um, having the kick is more important. You'll see in chat I mentioned earlier about skipping the corner with the gate. What you can do is drop your gateway and skip this corner pack by jumping straight from here to the boss room. Obviously, your tank should go first, otherwise you're going to get clapped. Tank goes, and then we all go with him. We just skip that corner. The pack in the corner has more of those annoying scientists with squirrels, and they're just kind of annoying to run around with. So it's much more convenient to just skip them and get some trash earlier in the dungeon to make up for it. I used my wall on the AoE. Definitely unnecessary, but I guess I might as well stay topped up. I figure we're going to chain pull. So in this boss, I like to drop my demonic circle kind of near the back. Later on in the fight, you're going to be dodging these blue orbs, and the boss will have a magnet pulling you across the room. Have your demonic circle so you can teleport away from these orbs or teleport away from the magnet. It's just helpful to have it set up early. Yeah, I used mine during my cooldowns for some reason. So doing it beforehand, but whatever. I also like standing on the far edge here because it requires a lot less movement to dodge these orbs. It's unlikely there's going to be one, behind me, going through me or something. But it's as simple as just stepping to the side and getting out of the circle to dodge. I don't need to think about the angles of where they're coming from either. If you're in the middle, you might have to worry about an orb going through you or, crossing your path or whatever. Standing on the edge is definitely much, much easier. You just gotta make sure you don't outrange your healer. This boss, phase 1 is pretty simple. Phase 2 is definitely where it gets a bit more challenging. But overall, I think this boss is not too difficult. Mechanics-wise anyways, not too difficult. It can get quite hectic though, I will say.
You cannot elude my targeting systems. You cannot elude my targeting systems. Activating thrusters. You think you have defeated me? Fools! All you have done is dismantle a piece of furniture. You wish to test my true ordnance?
You can actually attack the boss as he's spawning. You can get an early attack on him if you're paying attention. You can see here I moved up, but I'm still standing on the wall. If you get to the very front, like where I'm at here, you can scoot to the right and be in the very far corner. It makes it easy to dodge mechanics, and it helps you shoot the beam away from your team. Camera angle gets really ugly, but it's okay, because you shouldn't have to move too much, so it doesn't matter. So here's the pull I was telling you about. When the pull happens, it will pull your character slightly faster than it will pull the orbs. So if I am standing right behind this orb, like right here, I will get pulled into it and get one shot. Also, if you get pulled too close to the magnet, it will almost one-shot you. You want to make sure you're at least not in line with the orb. See how I step to the right? Or you just keep casting and then teleport out last second, like that. I shouldn't say last second. You see how the priest is next to the magnet and he's just getting destroyed? Do not teleport too late. Do not get too close to this, or it will kill you. Oh, they froze. Sorry. Here, I just readjust my demonic circle. The one I had before was nice, but it was quite far away. With this sap, you're supposed to take it away from your group, but I couldn't move. So I apologize to the tank for making him dodge. Now, I kind of want to go back to my corner in the front, because it's really easy to dodge mechanics up here and move the beam away from the group. The less thinking I have to do, the better. This time, I definitely get a bit greedy, and I let it pull me in too close. And I take a bunch of damage. I almost got one shot, so yeah, don't get pulled too close. Nice, there we go. Plus 28 points, 2.75 million overall. That was a pretty good key, pretty smooth. The takeaways, if you play Affliction or Destro, try and swap between your pets so you can get the most utility possible using the Dispel, the Imp, or the Interrupt, or Fell Hunter. And then using your gateways. Doing the skip on the treadmill is really, really helpful for your group. And thanks for watching. That's going to be it for this video. Catch you next time.